Commander Sarah Chen stared at the tactical display in disbelief, her coffee growing cold in her trembling hands as the impossible truth crystallized before her eyes. The 17 massive vessels that had appeared simultaneously in Earth's orbit weren't arriving. They had been there all along, hidden behind sophisticated cloaking technology that made them invisible to every detection system humanity had ever devised. And the realization hit her like a physical blow when she understood that what they had interpreted as first contact was actually the moment their observers had decided to reveal themselves. The warships, each one dwarfing the International Space Station by a factor of 50, hung in perfect geometric formation around the planet like dark sentinels, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it, creating voids in space that seemed to drink in the stars themselves. And as Sarah's team frantically ran diagnostic after diagnostic on their equipment, desperately hoping for a malfunction that would explain away this nightmare, the communication arrays across the globe began receiving the same message simultaneously in every human language. Evaluation period concluded. Species classification. Imminent threat to galactic stability. Containment protocols initiated. The words echoed through command centers from NORAD to the European Space Agency, from the Russian Space Forces to the Chinese National Space Administration, each facility reaching the same terrifying conclusion that Earth hadn't been discovered by alien explorers or contacted by cosmic diplomats, but had been under surveillance by an advanced civilization that had been studying humanity like insects under a microscope, watching and waiting as they developed nuclear weapons, as they polluted their oceans, as they waged endless wars, as they reached for the stars with hands still bloody from terrestrial conflicts. Sarah's mind raced through the implications as she realized that every major satellite launch, every space mission, every orbital deployment had been observed and cataloged by these silent watchers who had been making detailed assessments of human technological progress and psychological development, building comprehensive profiles of a species they had already deemed too dangerous to be allowed to spread beyond their home world. The largest of the warships, positioned directly above the North Pole like a black monument to humanity's failures, began to emit a low-frequency pulse that resonated through Earth's magnetosphere, causing auroras to dance across the sky in impossible colors, while simultaneously disrupting every GPS satellite, every communications relay, every piece of orbital infrastructure that mankind had spent decades putting into place, effectively blinding and deafening the planet in a demonstration of power so casual and complete that it left no doubt about the futility of resistance. Military leaders around the world watched helplessly as their most advanced interceptor missiles failed to even approach the alien vessels, their guidance systems scrambled by energy fields that seemed to bend space itself around the warships, while the craft themselves remained motionless and unresponsive to every attempt at communication, their silence more terrifying than any threat they could have voiced. As Sarah stood in the command center, surrounded by screens showing the same impossible scene from a dozen different angles, she understood with crystalline clarity that Earth hadn't been chosen as a target. It had always been the target, from the moment the first human looked up at the stars and wondered what lay beyond. From the instant they split their first atom, from the day they launched their first satellite and announced their presence to a galaxy that had been watching them with growing concern, waiting for them to prove that they could transcend their violent nature before they gained the ability to export it to other worlds. The warships weren't invaders seeking conquest or resources. They were executioners carrying out a sentence that had been passed long ago by a galactic community that had seen too many promising species destroy themselves and others through unchecked aggression and short-sighted expansion. And now, humanity would have to face the ultimate test. Not against external enemies in some glorious space battle, but against their own fundamental nature, with the fate of their entire species hanging in the balance as those silent, patient watchers finally revealed themselves and began the process of determining where the Earth deserved to continue existing or whether it was time to cauterize this particular wound in the galaxy before it could spread its infection to the stars.